On this week's episode, we're joined by Gab Levert. Born and raised in Halifax, Gab attended Mount St. Vincent University for public relations. In his final semester, he and his good friend and eventual business partner decided to brainstorm and started a PR firm they eventually called Magnified PR. Only a few months later, they created a sports entertainment agency called Tidal League. Through networking, hard work, and a lot of long days, the two businesses have begun to see success. This summer, Tidal League will host the first ever NBA Pro-Am tournament in Halifax. Listen in as Gab talks about growing up and getting serious in his early 20s.
I was the same old me with the same old blues. I was the same old me with the same old blues. I was the same old me.
Okay, so I think we'll get started here. We're back for our 10th episode of Brand New View. Ben and I are joined today with Halifax's very own Gab Levert.
Pleasure to be here.
How you doing, Gab?
I'm doing well. I'm really tired, honestly. I was thinking like 8 p.m. It's getting late. I had like a 12-hour day, but I feel good. I feel good enough to have a good conversation.
That's
Nice.
good. I'm glad.
What about you guys?
Decent. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have a 12-hour day. And
I
how
haven't
about
had
you
a
there,
sleep
Ben?
over 6 hours.
Yeah, I'm working on.
You're
working
running
hour
on
14.
fumes. What's that?
I'm working on hour 14. I said.
Hour 14.
I was up at 6, so it's 8:35. Haven't stopped yet.
A good contrast. I like it.
There you go. Yeah, Ben, he coaches the Pee-wees, so he's up early with them.
Oh yeah, that's the reason my parents never signed me up for hockey. So they're just like,
Early mornings.
we're never gonna drive you to the rink at 6 a.m. on
Yeah.
weekdays. Yeah.
We only have to do it once a week, which is great. But I'm an early riser anyway.
So yeah, 10th episode, as we said, we're happy to have Gab on for that little mini milestone. And as I mentioned, you are from Halifax. Have you been here the whole time? Have you gone away at all, or is it just
No,
born
man,
and raised?
Born and raised. So I grew up here. My mom's family's from Cape Breton, Shetty Camp right at the Cabot Trail, so the French side there. So we used to spend a lot of time there in the summers. So I pretty much grew up in Halifax. I traveled a lot, went to France for a month when I was in grade 9. Parents took me out of school. Naturally, just like where can we go that you can still speak in French and build on your French. So I grew up, French is my first language. You might hear a bit of an accent. And then I went to France again in my third year university, and that's in BC for a summer. And aside from that, I've been living in Halifax.
Very cool.
Awesome.
I'm Acadian. I think we're by way of Shetty Camp as well.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're probably cousins
Yeah.
of sorts.
Somewhere down the line, I'm sure.
It's actually funny you asked that question because I was saying this to someone the other day that when pretty much throughout my entire undergrad for the first 3 years, I was like, I can't wait to get out of this place. There's no jobs, and like I'm like first year university. Like I ever looked at the data on jobs available in Halifax. Like I didn't know what I was saying. And so pretty much the whole time I was saying I was going to leave, and then I did a semester in France, 4 months, and I went to these incredible cities and realized that Halifax is my favorite city in the world. So I was like, what is really foolish for me. And then I actually looked at the data of jobs in Halifax, and it's not true that there's no jobs. You just got to look for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our generation especially is very picky. Like you look at like our grandparents' generation, having a job was a privilege, whereas for us it's a chore. And so we're super picky, which I think can be good in certain capacities. I think we're also, somewhat lazy in the sense that, I want to work for this company, so I'm going to go through the approval process or, apply. And if I don't hear back, well, I guess I'm not working there. Or like, you could try and shoot an email to the person who's hiring, could, send an email to the CEO. God forbid you try and find the CEO's email. So I think, I know I'm going on kind of a tangent here.
That's okay. We love tangents, actually. at
Take it
Brand New
where
View.
it needs to go.
But yeah, so I realized that there are a lot of opportunities here, whether you create them yourself or if, you go and find the right people who are willing to give you a chance. And especially in Halifax, there are limited amounts of people who are trying to do something different. And so if you do that, it's a lot easier to have like an actual impact and to be noticed than in a Toronto or a Montreal or wherever else you want to go.
Yeah, Halifax has a lot of endless potential. I mean, we've been talking about that for a long time, and
Big
we're
pond,
starting
little
to
pond
see
theory
that.
too.
Yeah.
Kind of what Gab was saying. I mean, you don't really stand out, and you don't feel as significant. Whereas here, you feel like you're chipping away and making a dent.
It's funny because I was there's an NBA player who was here this summer, and I was talking to him. I said, "How are you enjoying Halifax?" And he goes, "I wish I was from here." He goes, everyone's so nice, and they're so happy to see me, but they're not in my face. And he's like, I'm walking down in Toronto, and like I don't feel special or appreciated. I come here, people are just really happy to have me. And it was really cool hearing someone who's like making millions of dollars and super successful. And they're like, yeah, I wish I was from Halifax.
That is really cool.
That's just what you hear from a lot of people who come here. And if only Haligonians had that exact mentality, right? I appreciate what we had. So
that East Coast flair, if only it could wear off on the rest of us.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Halifax. Take us through that a little bit. Where did you attend school?
I went to French school my whole life.
École Beaubassin?
École Beaubassin, École Secondaire du Sommet.
I didn't catch that.
You say it so much better than Mark.
Sommet, Beaubassin. That's like my butchered English accent one.
Sommet, Beaubassin.
Oh yeah, cool. Carrefour.
Anyone listening who would have heard those names before would have heard it like that. So I went through the French school system. My mom was my vice principal in elementary school, which was dreadful. She was also like the disciplinary and
the dean of discipline.
Yeah, and there were a lot of people on my bus who were older than me who got disciplined a lot, and they got to take it out on me. So I had that my mom's the head honcho. No one respects anything that I get because they're just like, you got it because you're mom. And people, I'm getting like seriously bullied when I'm like, I don't know, like 11. So I guess I was shook to an extent, but it gave me tough skin, and I remember one time, like, I spoke to my mom, and I was like, this person really doesn't like me for no reason. She was just like, yeah, but it's who you are. You're a big personality. People are going to not like you. People are going to dislike you. That's just a fact. Get ready for it.
It's a good lesson, Mom.
Well, yeah. Maybe you should try and be more likable, Mom.
Yeah. No. I meant it. That was a great lesson.
No, it's a really good lesson because.
But you're not always that your lesson for her.
Yeah. I should have told her. Yeah, Mom, maybe you can make an effort. No, she was really good like that, and she did push me to do a lot of things. Like there were a lot of things in my childhood that I had those opportunities because my mom was like pushing them on me. We were talking about defining moments earlier, and I may be getting ahead of myself here, but I was emceeing the Christmas concert. And for anyone who's ever been to a French school Christmas concert, like French parents or parents at the French school are just so extra that you have an afternoon show with a sold-out crowd of like 500 plus people.
Wow.
And then you have an evening show with like over 500 people as well. So you get like all the grandparents come in from all over for the afternoon show, and then the evening show's huge as well. So my mom's like, hey, you're 12 now, or you're 13, or however old I was. Like, you're old enough, you're gonna MC. And I was like I don't want to MC. She's like, well, too bad, you're gonna MC. So that's kind of like the summary of my childhood there. And I remember my mom, because like I was not your ideal student. I wasn't, I had like big time ADD, like as bad as it gets. I remember grade 5 specifically was just, I was so bad, man. My mom tried like every trick in the book aside from Adderall, and was just like, try and write things, try and squeeze this ball when you think of something. Like nothing worked. I just wanted to talk to people. And so I remember
I had to.
Yeah, it was only a matter of time.
I had to.
It's okay. I kind of use it on myself sometimes. So, my mom was like, okay, there's an opportunity for him to become a better public speaker. So I'm going to take him out of class one day. He's going to help prepare for the show, and I'm going to make him run through his entire thing, and I'm going to be as critical as it gets. So my mom was so critical of everything. Like, she would stop me if my shoulder started to slouch, or like I ended a word on a high note when it should have been on like a low note, and like picked apart everything that I said. And that's just who my mom was, because I think she just wanted me to be as, like, she knew I had potential, and she wanted me to reach that potential.
The best you could be.
Yeah. And then there were times where she, I'd come home with like a 95. She'd be like, yeah, but what about that other 5%?
I've heard that one.
Oh my God. I like
what
that.
What about that other 35 is what I was hearing.
But like, I think part of that reason is, again, she wanted the best for me, but she was really hard on me growing up. Just like another big moment was when she sent me, this is another defining moment. She sent me to, I say sent me, but really it was like, she signed me up, made me fill out this application, which I'm pretty sure, like, I don't even think I touched. I think she did it for me.
Yeah.
And
Just got you to sign at the end.
Yeah, like, not even, probably. And so it's called Encounters with Canada. So there's this really cool program in Ottawa that there's a different theme multiple weeks throughout the year, and they fly you up. They pay for your flight, your stay, and you get to learn about one specific topic with people who applied and were selected for that. I grew up in like a pretty politically opinionated household, and so I went for the Canadian Politics Week. And at the time, I was in grade 9, and I really didn't know much about politics. Like but I was always good at bullshitting. I always could, still can. And so I'm
Still are.
yeah, still I always will, because like I don't know. I feel
gotta be
like
able
you
to
gotta take
talk a big
advantage of your
game.
talents.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Gotta work with
23. I
what
don't
you
know
got.
everything yet, so I've got another like 17 years of bullshitting until I probably have enough knowledge. But I get there, and there's all these people around me who are just brilliant people, like nerds, and I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. Like, they're just brilliant people, and they're like asking me how I feel about like what I think the impact was on the latest drop in the Canadian dollar, and I'm like, I'm fucking 15, you know. I don't know what impacts the Canadian. I don't
Doesn't
even,
sound good.
I don't even know like how currencies work, you know.
Yeah.
So
Still don't. It's so weird. It's like the
definitely not
most confusing thing.
cryptocurrencies.
Wait, your dollar's worth more than my dollar?
How does that?
Yeah.
That's that's pretty much where my mind space was like how why are these people? But there was also like they couldn't really communicate things with me, you know, like they're so smart but couldn't express it in like a simple, concise way. And I went home and I told my mom, I was like, Mom, like that was awesome, I learned a lot, but like all those kids, like they're way smarter than me. I have no like I shouldn't be in that room. And she was like, yeah, but about 3/4 of them are, you know, as good as the next guy down the street because they can't actually communicate what they know. You know, they can't explain it to the average person. She's like, and if you can't explain things in a simple way, then what's the point of your knowledge? Because most people won't be able to understand you at that level.
Yeah,
and
true.
that's something that really, really stuck with me too. That was just, you know.
Yeah, Mom's a huge influence.
Yeah.
We like her.
Yeah, my mom kicks ass.
Does she ever?
My grandfather dropped out of school in grade 4. She started working when she was like 9 at at their meat store, and like no education in her family, and then became a principal. And so, you know, her just kind of seeing like her, I guess, like, I don't want to say poverty, but like a really, really tough upbringing to like getting herself in that kind of a position in life. She wanted the same
instilled some
for us.
values for you.
Yeah, of course.
Naturally, it's gonna rub off that.
Yeah. And so I'm sure you see that in a lot of people is kind of the role that their families play growing up, because you spend so much time around them, and I feel like that's kind of your job as a parent, is to like teach those lessons. Some are better than others, and some lessons that my mom taught me I now disagree with, and I think weren't good. And that's just I think how life works, right?
Nobody's perfect. We're all trying to figure it out as we go along in a lot of ways.
What about you guys? If you guys have talked about your defining moment beforehand, because I feel like you guys are always asking these.
No one's ever asked us.
No, yeah.
Well, it is episode 10. So
It is episode
for
10.
milestones.
That does make sense. 10 episodes in, first time we kind of been put on the spot, eh?
Man, I have quite a few. Like, I think back to my childhood a lot. I always end up going back there.
I'm gonna stop you right there, because this, like, I'm the guest, so keep it to one moment.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
Just the
like,
one
back to me.
the one moment.
No, I'm just playing with you.
No, I like that one. I'm similar in the sense that I was in trouble quite a bit. I mean, I was the taller, bigger kid, very boisterous in class, like always looking to goof around. I am a February baby, so I was the oldest in the class most times. Like I said, tall, so I was always at the front of the class. I always seemed to be in the mix. And I can remember that my grade 5 teacher, I always think back to this, but she put me in a side room and made me chill there for an entire afternoon. And then she came into that side room, and I was sitting in the middle of it, like executionary style. Like, she circled around me like a shark, and like was just fuming mad, and I couldn't understand. I was like, what did I do? I was kind of like laughing almost, like being like, what did I do? And she was like, you have no idea how much they all look up to you. Whether you like it or not, you're the oldest in the class, you're the tallest in the class, your last name starts with a B, you're always going to be at the front of the class. you can think that you're doing well by goofing off and having a whole bunch of laughs, but use it for your good. You're not using any of that for you. Mm-hmm. Like, it made sense at the time to me because I didn't understand how much people were looking up to me, so it really taught me a lot about leadership. And at that moment, I'm not suggesting I was the coolest kid in grade 5, but it was just no, but it was just a weird kind of.
No, I get what you mean.
I didn't even know I was part of it until she mentioned that was what was happening. I just thought I was goofing off and I was getting in trouble because of that. But she was suggesting that the way I was acting had a direct reflection on how the rest of the class acted. She was like, then she went on to suggest, okay, well, the last 4 hours was the most peace we've had all year. Like, do you want that to be what people remember you by or know you as? And I was like, holy. So it was like a huge awakening for me. Before that, grades 1 to 4, I was probably a menace, like in class and just.
I think like
with other peers and shit, I was terrible.
I think a trend between these, like the two that I mentioned and yours, is like those were all like relatively high emotional moments. So like for me, like being really nervous before emceeing, and then like insecurity after this, encounters with Canada. For you, like you were chilling, but then your teacher was emotional, not like crying, but like I think to a certain extent, and you need to show some emotion to really tap into someone.
Her message was so well delivered. I mean, I have goosebumps now thinking about it. Like just kind of picturing her circling around me and really waiting to deliver her message, and it really built up that emotion, that anticipation of, okay, what am I in trouble for? What did I do? Right. And she really delivered that message so clearly. I can't.
You ever tell her?
No, I've brought it up probably every time around Christmas when we're reminiscing about old stories. Right. Elementary, junior high, that kind of stuff, and I always mention that one. It was the first thing I thought of when you asked, and it's something I always think back to.
You should reach out to her, because if you could get her contact information and you send her like a nice heartfelt email, guarantee you, because like as a teacher, you think she's just like putting that emotion in. Like if she didn't care about her job or about the kids, like she wouldn't have like schemed to like like walk around you and like get a message across to you. So just knowing both of my parents as people in the field of education, like they both very much genuinely care about the kids. And so if they got an email from a kid, I just, I don't know, 10 years ago, and they got that, like my dad's like, he's an old man who like doesn't always show that much emotion, but like I know I'd catch him with like a tear going down his eye.
A bit of water collecting.
Yeah, you should do that. You should totally find her email.
It's dust.
Do it.
Yeah, I will.
I
like that.
I think of those moments with teachers when they have a breakthrough with a kid. It's kind of like that sweet, buttery swing in a golf game that gets you back to the course the next week.
Well, things got so much easier for me after that. Like, less trouble. All of a sudden, I could use that power of being the tallest, biggest kid, whatever, to benefit everyone as
for the greater good.
Well, yeah, it was a little bit of like, finally, I can cope with all this as opposed to sticking out or standing out.
You got essentially the Aunt May chat. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that, but I did screw up the following year, so we'll leave that out in grade 6.
Yeah, we won't worry about that.
Hey,
wasn't.
It's perfect.
Yeah, an undefining moment.
Got to fail a few times.
Mark, what's your defining moment?
I was trying to think. Also listening to Ben say his defining moment. Growing up, very similar. School was a thing that we had to do, and it wasn't like a challenge or anything like that, but just report card after report card of teachers being like, if he just applied himself, he'd be doing so great, but he just wants to, or I just wanted to chat.
If you did more than just showing up.
If you did more than just showing up and playing hockey with little paper airplanes and all that stuff.
It's so much more fun than
I know, right? But I have, I have a few different report cards that I can remember. Specific teachers saying, pull up your socks. I remember that one. I had a teacher in high school who drew a soccer player with his socks down and like the motion of pulling them up. I remember that. But I think for me, and this is just a small moment. I don't know why I really remember it, because after high school and going to Dalhousie, kind of getting lost, not really sure what I wanted to do. My cousin, actually, I was with him, this must have been 6 years ago, and it was when I was finished a DAO, not really sure what I wanted to do. And he looked at me and he said, you know what? You're going to be all right. You're going to figure things out. I know you will. And that, I still hold that to the, like, it still means a lot to me, because for someone to show that they see something in me that I might necessarily not see at that moment was really
Yeah, because that
important.
gives you some level of self-confidence, right?
Yeah.
I have one last one that I wanna because when you started talking and like being circled around and like being in this room, it reminded me of I'd say my first defining moment. I know, say 4 years old, and I was going to this babysitter, and she had been my babysitter since I was 8 months old, and was my babysitter until I was like 12. Like, she was essentially a second mother to me. And then I remember she said, because she used to tie my shoes, and all the kids were younger at the daycare, and everyone goes outside, and she's like, "Yep, just go in that room where the shoes are." And she goes in there. She goes, "Okay, well, I'm gonna leave you here, and you can go outside when you tie your shoes." Closes the door, locks it, boom. Like, no one's ever taught me how to tie my shoes. Like, she just makes me sit there, and I can't go out until I tie my shoes. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, it was realistically probably like 5, maybe 10 minutes. It felt like days. It felt like I was in there, because like when you're 4, like,
And you're trying to problem solve for the first time. Not so easy.
not so easy.
You
And
don't have
so-
anything to draw on.
And so she comes back in. She's like, "You ready to learn how to tie your shoes?" And I was like, yeah, I'm ready to learn how to tie my shoes. And like, not to brag, but like 4 years old, it's pretty early to learn how to tie your shoes.
Yeah,
Most kids had those like twirly things that's in,
remember that,
you know, in grade primary.
Loop and swoop and pull.
Yep.
I still had friends in like grade 3 really using those things.
So, you know, but it was just like, for me, it was like, okay, I can either learn this or I can just stay inside. And like, she was a hard ass, don't get me wrong. Like, she would rip the page out of the coloring book if you went over the
Outside the lines.
Outside the lines, yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
like, she was intense, but especially for
Vicious.
me being kind of like the high energy ADD kid, like I needed someone
Kinda
like
roped
that
you
in
in.
my life. You know what I mean? To just like, and I need that today. I need people who keep me in check. And I have some really, really great mentors and advisors. Like, people say you have one mentor. That's stupid. Everyone's good at different things. And so I have like one person, and she's incredible. She's the CFO of a company and taking them public at 40 years old here in Halifax. She's incredible. And she kind of acts as a mentor to me. I have someone who, you know, launched a few businesses when he was younger and now runs the PR program at the Mount. And he's kind of like a mentor to me. And then a few other people that if I have a specific question that kind of relates to their experience, I, you know, just shoot them a text and ask them, you know, what their take is on it. And these are all people, going back to Mark's point, people that believe in me, so they're willing to kind of give their advice and their time to me. And like you said, you know, like I don't take that for granted. I don't think I deserve any of these people's time. And just like the fact that someone who is that successful is actually taking their time for no actual financial return or like long-term plan to benefit from being with me, and they genuinely want to help, that like I appreciate that every single day.
It means the world to you.
Oh, 100%. Because like people always ask me, you know, how we've been able to do, and we can dig into what I do, because I feel I don't want to talk too much around it without explaining. But you know, people say, well, how have you been able to pull this off? Relationships. People see something in me or what we're doing and give us a chance, and then that person connects us with the next person, or says, hey, you know, come to this event, I'm doing this, and then introduces me to someone I like who can benefit me, you know. And it's just like that's all that it's been.
Human relations.
Yeah, that's it. Like, that's as simple, and like obviously being strategic and like not wasting people's
Timely.
time. You know, like you get a CEO who's like willing to give you some advice. You're not gonna go to him for like, or her for like a small thing. You know, hey, what do you think I should do here? Like, no, don't do that shit. You know, like their time is so valuable that if you go to them, you know, just like come back with a bigger a question down the road. You know, don't waste those people's time, but know that you value their opinion.
So I think we can kind of get back to, university. I think we're not
We're not there yet.
we're not there yet.
Okay,
I don't think.
I definitely can touch on my university life, and because I actually think that was like the defining 4 years of my life that really I mean, impacted who I am professionally for sure. So I was in high school. Again, even in high school, like I was not the best student. I had good grades because my mom was on my ass, not because I cared about what I was studying in school. That's just why I did well. And my parents, we were never materialistic people growing up. So rather than getting a bigger house or like a bigger TV or whatever, my parents took 6 months off and we went to Vancouver for the Olympics. You know, like an experience I'm gonna like, without a doubt, the best experience of my life. We were there when Christine Nesbitt, I'm getting goosebumps already, when Christine Nesbitt won the gold medal in speed skating. And if I'm not wrong, when we saw Christine Nesbitt win the gold medal, that was the medal that broke the record for the most gold medals in the Olympics.
Yeah, sounds right.
Awesome.
And
Fact check.
we actually, like, our tickets were, like, my parents and my buddy's parents, so like one of my closest friends, our families went together. We're sitting in one area, and me and my buddy were sitting in the other. So after she wins her gold medal, we whip out this big Canadian flag. And, like, back then, the only mode of communication was texting. And I checked my phone, like, I shit you not, 5 minutes later, and I have over 100 texts. And everyone's like, yo, the camera just, like, zoomed in on you guys waving the flag, like, big old smile on your faces.
No
and I'm
way.
like, oh, my God, like, this is crazy.
How old were you at the time? 2010.
15.
Okay.
And then I see my parents. I'm like, Mom, Dad, I was on TV. They're like, we just watched the gold medal with Christine Nesbitt's boyfriend. And like, I'm just like, what? They're like, yeah, like he was literally just like grappling onto my mom's arm because he was so stressed. And like when she won, he like jumped over 3 like rows of seats and like ran up and like kissed her or whatever. I'm just thinking, going back to the point, that's the stuff that I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life. I'm not gonna talk about like the size of the house that I had growing up,
So 6 pair of shoes you bought in grade 12.
Right. And so my parents weren't well, I actually dropped like $500 on a pair of shoes.
Yeah, I mean, don't come after shoes.
And you were
Like,
hey,
I've
got a lot of shoes.
Yeah, can we we'll skip over the shoes?
yeah,
We'll skip over the shoes.
Just,
Right?
that's an experience in itself, and it's also just like clout. I played basketball, so it is a really important part of the culture.
Yeah, you gotta look good.
But I'm gonna bring it back to this point. And so we were a very like experience centric family, and my parents didn't really put like that much money aside to like send me to anywhere I want to go in Canada for school. Like some of my friends were just like, they just had their parents' blessing to go wherever they wanted to go, And my parents were just like, listen, we'll help you with school, but you have 5 universities in HRM. Like, why would you go somewhere else when you can stay right here? So I was like, but as a kid, I'm like, oh man, a bunch of my friends are going to MUN, they're going to live in res together. I'm pissed. I'm going to go to SMU for business. I don't even really care about business, or like I'm just doing it because I thought that was the better one.
Yeah.
And I'd been told about the Mounts PR program, and I'd applied, and I was like, I'm probably not going to do that. Like the Mounts for women, Mounts stupid. I'm just like this 12th graders. Like, I just want to party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I get my guidance counselor like rushes into my classroom one day, and she's like, hey, like, you want a huge scholarship, you get free res at the Mount. And I was like, I get to like actually be a university student? Like I'm not going to live at home. I'm actually going to be able to. So I was really excited, and I go to the Mount. First 2 years of school for me were pretty much a write-off. Just because like I didn't value what I was learning. I wasn't that interested in what I was learning. But it was a good like social experience learning out how to be on my own and stuff. And then third year I went to France, and that was like the game changer for me. I was like, the world is mine. I just like met like the coolest people. A few of my close friends went to West Point, the U.S. Army Academy, which is like one of the most prestigious schools in the States, and I get to like be best friends with these guys while they're here. I'm like, that was amazing. One of my teachers or one of my professors there owned a bunch of businesses, offered me a job. He was like, don't go, stay. We're planning an event. It was like an environment. So he knew my passion in politics, and it was an event where his company it was for all the environment leaders in all the different European countries, and it was like a forum, and they were hired by the French government to do it. And I had to make a really hard decision. It wasn't really that hard because I had like negatives in my bank account, but by that point it's
Negatives in my bank account. Negatives in my bank.
Yeah, definitely
Brackets in
negatives
red.
in my bank account. So came back, and I remember my teacher saying, "Yeah, you'll be back." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, you're way too curious to like stay in Halifax. You know, he's like, what are you going to do? He's like, you're going to go back there, working out at 5, get bored to death, call me in a year. I was like, all right, whatever. And ended up going to my 4th year. I kind of disconnected from my social circle at school. I was just kind of like doing my own thing. I was happy. And there's just this one evening in the summer of my last semester. I was with my good friend Gabe and Gabe and Gab. Yep.
Gabe and Gab. We'll be getting into that.
And so he, we had brainstormed a few different like business ideas before. One of it was Check It, and it was an app for events for like young people, but essentially just like cheap things you can do because we were broke and we were like, man, I want to go places, but like I don't want to spend money. So like pretty much highlighting anywhere with specials or like student centric events. And then we were like, we don't know how to code an app. We just had an idea.
Yeah.
We got to get funding, but to get funding, you need a product. We were like, all right, that's not going to work. And we had a few others, and then we had an idea to launch a PR agency, and we were like so amped. We're like, man, we're going to be millionaires in a year. We're going to ball out, and the concept of that agency literally completely shifted about 3 weeks before launching, and pretty much kind of started, not from scratch, because a lot of the research that we had done was helpful, but like completely rebranded and switched it all up. And my business partner was doing his last co-op. He was also a PR student at the Mount as an entrepreneurial co-op. So he was the first Mount student to do that, maybe the second. But and I remember we had Hell Week. So like the week launching, I had graduated. I was in Toronto with my brother helping him visit universities, and then flew back. And 6 hours after landing, I had to be at school for my college graduation, and then went there, got drunk that night, celebrated. Next day I was pretty hungover, but like worked pretty much all throughout the Monday, and we had publicly said that we're going to launch on Friday. So we're like, okay, we have to launch on Friday. We have to be ready. Everything needs to be done. And we busted our asses like 12, 14 hours a day, every day that week. We didn't sleep from like Thursday at 7 a.m. to Friday at 1 p.m. And we just literally worked, like pulled the all-nighter of our lives and launched, which really, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't mean shit. Like, what, you launched? You launched.
Did it.
You know, I'm doing like the, what's it called?
Air quotes.
Thank you. So, yeah.
Laser.
So we launched this PR agency. The things that we thought were important back then are like things that we spent a day working on then, we now spend like 30 minutes. You know, it's just really like completely learning as we go. So we started our podcast, the Lost and Founders podcast, kind of documenting our journey as founders, but also like, what the fuck are we doing? You know, we're both 23 PR students. We're innovative and we're problem solvers. So yeah, we'll make this work. Big learning curve. But we started to get clients, and the clients that we worked with got bigger and better, and we're definitely still learning a lot, but we grew and we got better, and I think I still think like we're so far from what we can accomplish. Like I still feel like we're kind of just getting there, but in the PR world, like you need to build your portfolio to get bigger clients.
Yeah.
You know, that's how it works. You're competing
Nature of the
against, like,
beast.
National PR, the big dog everywhere in Canada. Like they're just gonna outcompete you. So I did that, and then launched Tidal League, a sports entertainment agency. So we're putting on a.
Was that like around the same time, or how many months after you launched Magnified?
That would have been about like 8 months later.
Okay.
I met this guy. He had just moved here. Was a huge fan of basketball. You know, really wanted to make an impact on the city. We had the idea probably within 10 minutes of meeting of putting on a pro-am here. I brought my business partner in, he brought his business partner in, and next thing you know, we are in Vegas at NBA Summer League, partying in a booth with agents and a bunch of NBA players, and guys that I've been watching and fanboying over since I was like 14. And like next thing you know, I'm just sitting in this booth and pour myself a drink, and I look and literally brushing shoulders with Jordan Clarkson, a player on the Cavs who I'd followed my whole life, and I was just like, wow, you know, like that's like that. It was just kind of like a big epiphany moment. I remember all of us looked at each other at one point, like it was, I think it was Drake was that song God's Plan. God's Plan came on in the club, and like all these confetti and these lights come out, and we all kind of all make eye contact, and we're just like,
This is something.
This is
We
insane.
made it. This is the moment.
Yeah, and we like thought that we made it, even though we're like bumming off an agent's tab to a certain extent. But it was like our introduction to the business side of basketball. And then and we went there to build relationships, to show this agent who my business partner had a relationship with that we were serious, and that we actually ended up brokering a deal between a brand and a player of this agent's player in a hotel room in Vegas. And again, even then we're like, wow, we made it. We just brokered a deal like without getting paid. And like, you know, again, like things that we thought were huge then are just like, you know, now it's okay, good. Yeah. How are we going to get paid from this? You
It's
know,
just a stepping stone.
It was just a stepping stone, but like you gotta, like, I wouldn't change a thing of like how much we appreciate and how amped we were after those, you know, like now they're insignificant, but when we started, they're like, that was the most significant moment up to then. And then the next week it was the next thing. And so, and then we ended
chasing
up,
those moments.
yeah, 100%. And so then we came back here, and our plan is to have a 3-day pro-am basketball tournament. So having some pro players, some NBA players, playing alongside some amateurs to show the world that, you know, some athletes from around here are really legit. And we realized that this is aspirational. This is dreaming big. Like no one's ever tried this here. And so we go, you know, what, like, how many guys can we get here? What, 3, 4? And now we have 10 committed, 10 NBA players committed to coming here. I'm sure.
Awesome.
It's really exciting.
And where it's taking
be
place at the
Dartmouth Sportsplex.
Sportsplex, yeah.
Yeah, brand new. The city just
Recently
invested
renovated.
$28 million. Yeah, it's gonna be nice, and we're gonna be showing it off big time. And so yeah, we actually only launched that business in July, and then we're trying to convince sponsors, because we're like, okay, this is gonna cost us a lot of money. We need to get big time sponsorship. We've never gotten sponsors for anything before, but this can't be that hard. Google a couple things, and people, hey,
How to get sponsors.
we're bringing NBA players here. Of course, people will throw tens of thousands of dollars at us without asking questions. And we quickly realized that was just not the fact.
Not so much.
Especially given
Quite
the
a few
fact
questions.
that, yeah, quite a few questions for sure, but also just like people in this city aren't necessarily as open to new things as in certain cities, right? They're just like, nope, things have been done for a very long time. I met with a leader in the sports world who, in Nova Scotia, a champion, who asked me, why would NBA players want to come to Halifax? And that was like the epitome of the challenges here. You're supposed to be a champion for sports here, and you're asking me why would they want to come here, a top 10 destination on Travel Advisor's new destinations on the rise. You know, one of the fastest growing populations in Canada. Why?
Better yet, why wouldn't they want to come here?
Right. Why wouldn't a beautiful summer home? Like,
What's your role here again?
We're a coastal
right.
city. I mean, come on.
Like, you're looking at, you know, and so
Exposure comes to mind.
that's the challenges we face, right? Rather than people saying, this is amazing, how can I help? Like, we weren't always asking for money. We're just looking to build relationships in the city. And not even like a, hey, how can I help? It's just, hey, good luck, hope it works out. Thanks for your luck, don't really need it, it's going to work out. You don't need to say, hope it works out.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, you guys have a really great idea. It's not an idea, actually, it's a business, and we've invested a lot of money into it, so I'd appreciate it if you stop
not an
calling
idea
it an
anymore.
idea. You know, and like maybe that's,
I love this
you know,
angst.
maybe that's ego, you know, that like, but you know, if
you're
I'm
bang
like,
on.
I think it's belief
Yeah.
and determination.
I mean, like, you got to realize I'm just in full transparency. I'm investing literally every penny that I'm making from one business that is finally gaining momentum, and now half my time, which I thought wouldn't be the case, into another business. And when I could be getting financially comfortable with one, I somehow decided it's a good idea to launch another one. And
I'm curious, were you planning on doing that, or was
No.
that, how did that actually come to be?
we just said, hey, we should do a pro-am. Hey, when could we do it? Next summer? Sure, let's do it. let's fly go to Vegas.
Were you thinking like Magnified will kind of do the pro-am?
No,
or?
so we met another business, two business partners, and then I kind of brought my business partner into it. And so so the guy that I met wasn't with Magnified; he was another guy, and so we brought everyone in, and we're like, okay, this is cool. Let's start a business plan, and we start a business plan. We're like, okay, what are we going to call this thing? And we go down to Point Pleasant Park, which is actually where I've had most of my good ideas. And like whenever I'm in a creative like slump, go to that picnic table right down by the water, sit there, literally 5 minutes there, and I'm there with my business partner Gabe, and I'm looking at the water and the tide's rising, and I'm a big like metaphor guy, and so I'm like, okay, tide's rising in my life, tide's rising in the tides are changing in the city, things are really changing, let's make a splash here. So I was like, okay, Tidal League, that's what we're gonna go with, and that's what we've gone with since, and people love that.
I think it has a nice ring to it. Yeah.
I think and also
like
the
it.
title ending with an L, starting with the L, it kind of works. So
Rolls right off.
So that happened, and then so we were kind of like faced with like this struggle where people were like, hey, this good idea, let me know when you start materializing. I was like, okay, well then we need to show them that we can do this. So then we brought Danny Green up, a player from the Raptors, up for a live showing of his podcast at Pier 21. That was
Inside
awesome.
the Green Room.
Inside the Green Room podcast, a really good podcast.
Shout out Danny Green.
He's the man. He loves Halifax. He's going to come back. I can guarantee you he'll be back here.
Sweet. Is he going to do
Tidal League?
or is he going to show up for the pro-am?
He's coming on BNB.
Hopefully we can get him to record some podcast there, get him some action, actually playing, but maybe some other opportunities too. And so our mission statement that we've recently edited, but it's to bridge the gap between professional players, fans, and businesses. So kind of whatever we do is like, say a business wants to endorse a player, we can connect them with that player, because going back to what I said, it's all about relationships. We have the chance to build relationships with, whether we can't directly get to a guy, someone else might be able to. And so a player wants to get an endorsement, we can make that happen. Or say, I guess a brand wants a player's endorsement. If it's like an appearance for an hour, we can make that happen. We can give kind of people a list of players they might be able to get. If it's putting on an event like a Pro-Am tournament, we can do that. There's a lot of things, and that's the beauty in being an entrepreneur. Is like there's no strategic, like there are strategic goals
Every
that you
day's
want to hit,
different,
but
though.
like
Yeah.
I can, if an opportunity comes up and I want to do it, and there's
You're
steps
fucking
to make
doing
money, yeah. Like
No one has. I don't have to talk to anyone. I don't
Yeah.
have to speak to anyone.
yeah,
about
like
this.
aside from my business partners, I guess. So like, I
But
tell
your
them
your drive and I mean obviously your will to succeed. That's why you've started these. I can only imagine that's a big portion of it. That's always going to get you up and get you out of bed. It's not like anyone's going to need to check where Gab
right.
is.
Like,
or,
there are definitely times
what your agenda
where, like,
is.
There are definitely times where I
You're
can
human
sleep
still,
a little
right?
bit longer, but most times like I just get out of bed and I'm amped. I'm just like fired up. I just can't wait.
Yeah.
My business partner always says like he dreads the weekend because it's just kind of an unproductive time.
Not
And
much is
like,
going on. Yeah.
and like in contrast, because I've been kind of talking about a lot of positive things. Like I never struggled with my mental health before in my entire life until I launched a business and then a second business. Because like, you're equally as stressed and kind of anxious as you are amped and excited, because you're putting so much pressure, or I am anyway, putting so much pressure on myself. I don't think that I'm like doing anything crazy at this point. I personally don't think I've achieved at this point. Like I don't say I've achieved anything yet. And so like for me, I have a vision of what I can accomplish. And I've had people, the fact that we've built relationships with people like the mayor and who has our back and will talk us up whenever we
Shout out
need
Mike
it.
Savage.
Yeah,
Shout out Sav.
the best mayor the city's ever seen in my
Definitely.
lifetime. And so like having people like that in our corner who says, hey, you're having trouble getting to the sky? Yeah, let me help you. Or oh, have you guys tried this? Like having people like that in our corner, it's great. It also adds a lot of pressure, because when you tell, and this has given us the opportunity to sit in front of like people we'd never be able to sit down. I don't want to name drop anymore, but like multi-millionaires in the hundreds of millions who we've somehow been able to get like 45 minutes with, and you tell them you're going to do something and then that fails. Like it's kind of like, well, why would they ever listen to me ever again?
Yeah, you've lost that one shot.
Right. And so you better prove them right. And we're putting all our eggs in one basket here because at the end of the day, this is our big event and we're meeting everyone in the city. I'm talking like we're just finding a way because like we were talking about this before we started recording. It's like the old man club, you know. It's a lot.
The old boys club.
There's a small circle of very wealthy people who all know each other very well, and you know,
I think
I'm
they
lucky.
still have a pretty good stranglehold of the city.
Yeah, and I can see, I could tell there's a lot of them who are, you know, who have met me, and if they haven't, they kind of know what we're up to because other people in their circle have discussed it, and they're just like, yeah, I'm waiting, I'll see what these guys pull off.
Right.
It was just kind of fair.
It's kind of like a video game in the sense that you start off and then the smaller businesses or whatever will pay attention to you, and those businesses up there may be aware of you, but they're like, no, you need to build up your reputation. You have to
go through all the
defeat
levels.
these battles.
But like the beauty in being an entrepreneur, you can kind of skip those levels. I mean, we were talking about a meeting that I had yesterday where I kind of got to skip all the levels, and now partnering with the CEO from a really great company around here on a really cool project. And you know, I was going back to, I was actually talking to my mom about this after, and I was so excited. She said, well, why don't you go work at that company? I said, why would I work there? She's like, stable income. And I was like, yeah, but would this person have offered me split revenue if I was an employee? And she was just like, yeah, good point. Because if I was an employee there, I'd be like, shit, that's another project. That's more work, and I'm not getting paid anymore.
Yeah,
you know, whereas like,
point.
where there's actual return for me, I think that's where a lot of the drive comes in. Is like, if I don't do it, I'm not getting paid.
Right. Exactly.
That's
That's what I was getting to. It's
Yeah.
just like, that is ultimately what's getting you out of bed. It's on you now, right? You and Gabe, but
I think, well, since you loved metaphors, here's a good one for you. I compare being an entrepreneur to playing an individual sport and playing or working at a corporation to playing a team sport. You can go and have a okay day at a corporation, and corporation's going to be okay by the end of the day. You've got everyone else doing their thing. If you show up and put in a terrible tennis match or a terrible golf round,
Right.
then you're not going to win. That's on you. It's not on anyone else.
There's so much more pressure in that. I mean, you still have like a team behind you of people. Like I have an incredibly
To prep you
positive,
and
like
things
support,
like that, yeah.
supporting kind of circle. Like my girlfriend is crazy patient because I like my mind is pretty messed up. Like to be fair,
you should
like,
jump inside ours for a minute.
yeah, I'd love to
nonstop.
trade. I'd love to. It's just like, you know, I can't relax, especially during the week. Like it's really hard for me to like just sit down and appreciate time with the people that I'm with because like, no, I like my to-do list got bigger today, not smaller, and now I need to do
I haven't
more.
even plugged in that TV
go.
yet.
Right. And like that's not healthy. So like, I want that state of mind to be done by 30. Like I'm down to kind of suffer until 30.
Grind it out.
Yeah, and then have some consistent income. And like realistically, my dream job is like still being involved in businesses and making money from it, and being able to like donate my entire time to something just fun, a fun project. Which like at the end of the day, like Tidal League is that. So I kind of do that, but like even just like
It's a fun passion project, though.
it is, but like not having to worry about how much money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
do a
I
little
know I've
consulting.
mentioned money like quite a few times here because at the end of the day, I've done a lot of things that I thought were awesome, but I didn't structure it in a way where I could actually
Monetize
pay my bills. You know, and then I put so much time in this awesome thing, and I'm like,
But that's an experience you'll learn from.
it is. But at the same time, you know, I'm a little over a year now. I'm like a year and 3 months in a business, and I'm just in a position where it's like I need to think in a way. I still need to think like this is an amazing opportunity. I don't need to make a bunch of money off it, but like I still need to think in a way where I'm like, how is this gonna monetize? You know, and that's takes a little bit of the fun away, but at the same time, it kind of adds an incentive.
I mean, at the end of the day, you do have to make a living, so.
Yeah, I'm just kind of chasing opportunities over money right now. That I had to coin like this, you know, long-term outcome is better than short-term income. You know, that's kind of like my motto these days is, hey, build relationships with these people. You might not be able to work with them right now, but when they have someone to go to,
It's going to pay off.
yeah, you know what I mean.
Would you
There's a
say that-
return on that. Sorry, yeah.
That's okay. Would you say that's the most important aspect of entrepreneurship, is building those relationships and maintaining them?
Good question. Let me piggyback on that for a second. Would you suggest that was pretty much why you were able to jump those levels when you met yesterday? Kind of those human relation aspects?
Yeah, I would say yes, that was the most important part, 100%. And then the second, to your question, yeah, I mean, when you're in a club with these NBA players who you think, like, when I'm a kid and I'm a basketball fan, like, name any CEO, I don't give a shit. These basketball players are the coolest, you know? And so when you're in that moment and your nerves they're gone because you've been, you know, it's kind of like a shock type thing, you know, where you're just like, okay, well, I'm not nervous around NBA guys anymore. Or like, I'm not, like, they're just another guy. So then when you get from that to, like, sitting with the CEO and you've built enough confidence that it's not like, oh my God, I can't believe he's giving me time. Like, no, like, he should give me time because I'm gonna make the best out of that hour, and he's gonna like me, or she's gonna like me, and we're gonna do some awesome things because I'm competent. You know, like, that's kind of how my mind shifted as time went on. And so when you have that confidence, and it's got to be monitored, because, like, if you're bouncing off the walls or, like, trying to big dog a CEO, that's probably not going to get
you
too
can
well.
teeter on that line pretty quickly too,
right,
with that confidence, right? It becomes egotistical quite quickly.
Yeah, it's really, really dangerous.
Yeah. It's fine
You gotta
line.
keep yourself in check.
Yeah, I think, like, my life does that for me.
That's
true.
true.
Like, every time I'm getting,
Or your mom does.
yeah, she'll always be there to kind of
Shut up, mom.
I'm gonna have to send this to her. No, but I even just, like, DeMar DeRozan had a quote, and it's kind of what I try and live by, and I fail very often. It's never too high, never too low. Just, like, stay in that pocket, because if you get too amped up and if something doesn't work out, you know,
It's
like,
a long fall.
Yeah, and so, like, you think you're gonna close this huge deal, and you don't. You go from, like, way up to, like, all the way down, and, like, that takes a toll on you. And so it's like, never get too upset when something doesn't work out. Never get too excited either. You know,
It's amazing you say that. I find myself using that or saying that to myself a lot.
Okay,
like keeping yourself in check.
No, I always say manage your expectations. So I say it when I'm coaching. I'm saying it to Mark. I'm saying it with my colleagues. I say it to myself 15 times a day. You know, I'm that guy that goes on a date that finds himself too, you know, overzealous, excited.
That's me. What, like, 100%.
So I'm always having to keep my emotions in check. Like, keep those expectations kind of right in the middle.
And you know what?
It's really tricky.
I don't think I'll ever be able to, like, and I think that's just who I am. Like, something will happen, and I'm, like, super excited, and I'll go and, like, I'll tell all my circle, I'm like, this amazing thing is about to happen, or, you know, we're working towards this going to happen, and then it doesn't happen, and I'm like, why did I tell anyone about this? Why did I get my hopes up? What am I saying? Like, and then it happens 3 weeks later, and then it happens like a month later, and it's honestly just because I get too excited at opportunities. I just want to share, like, to me, that's, like, the most exciting thing ever is when...
That's who you are, though. You shouldn't have to hide
Yeah,
who you
exactly.
are.
So I'm like, and my friend, like, some of my friends know, like, they filter some shit out. Like, Gab's talking about this crazy thing that he's going to do again. Like, what is he going to do? Launch, like, a third business? Like, you know, like, they're just, like, they know, and they're like, yeah, we'll see. You know, and I get that. Like, I'm glad I have friends who keep me in check like that, too.
It's good to have that, yeah. Would you consider yourself kind of an all-or-nothing person?
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, when I'm like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, it's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really bad because I'm like, if I'm 1
Wasting
foot
your
in,
own
1 foot
time,
out,
wasting-
I'm all out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, entrepreneurship is definitely the right career for you then, because you got to be all in.
You know, like,
You live in the deep end.
When I first started, I was like, entrepreneur. Like, it just, I love the term self-starter that you guys use.
Yeah.
Like, I think, and I was saying that to my buddy earlier, and I was like, I just love that because it kind of opens it up to, the entrepreneur you categorize it like this guy who's starting a business who's going to end up hopefully being really successful. It's like, you know, it's like, or self-starter is just someone who's, like, doing something that they like, you know, that they started on their own, and
They don't need anyone else to pick them up to do it.
Most self-starters inevitably, you know, convert into that entrepreneurial sphere anyway, but
Yeah.
self-starter is very broad in the sense that we could have a slew of
In
guests
every
on.
industry, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
it's a-
mostly,
yeah.
they would be more geared towards small business
Right.
entrepreneurship area.
Right, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
I do this thing where I talk forever and then I realize that I haven't stopped talking, and so I want to, as a host, I feel like I should probably ask you guys a few questions about your podcast, what you guys are up to, and
I like it.
I'm
you
ready.
Guys, you guys probably don't get this very often. This little
No, we don't. I like more of a back and forth than ever before.
maybe I'm just gonna do this totally off the top of my head.
Rapid
Ask you guys some
fire.
questions.
Here we go.
Mark, best job you've ever had?
Ooh, teaching tennis.
Why?
Why? Because it gave me the ability to be outside in the sun and be around people, which I realize is what I want to do with
Nice.
my life. This isn't a job yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. No, I like that. Ben, I don't know if we actually explained it. I worked with you guys,
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that.
a good chunk of time ago.
We're talking about it right now.
Here
Yeah,
we are.
We're talking about it, but Ben was my boss, kind of. Yeah.
Indirectly. Yeah.
Yeah. But you were a pretty chill boss, and then Mark was like,
I thought you were great. I was telling my
Oh,
mom today,
thanks,
actually,
man.
you were an exceptional host.
yeah, I had always wanted to get into the serving industry.
Was that your first serving gig?
Yeah, that
Okay.
was my first time working at a restaurant, and so I was like, I worked at Hatfield Farms the summer before,
Yeah.
and
It wasn't written down.
yeah,
Oh,
worked at,
you knew I was reacting to your reaction. You're like, no.
yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
I just went on your LinkedIn. No, Hatfield Farms is not on my LinkedIn, but I was serving weddings there.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this is bullshit. I don't serve. I want to work at a real restaurant. I'm as good with people as anyone else. I knew that. And I was like, I could be a server. What, and so I finally get to work as a host there. And I remember my first day was like natal day long weekend.
Oof.
And I was supposed to work like a 4-hour like intro shift or something like that. I worked like 9 hours. And like, dude, I was just like so amped to have a shot in the restaurant industry that I like didn't take a break for like 8 hours. And every server was like, "You're fucking insane. What's wrong with you?" And like, what's like, what?
Why do you think all of us
Yeah, like-
smoke?
Yeah,
Breaks.
Yeah, so they all like just like gave me, everyone like tipped me out a little bit extra. And I worked there, and then I worked as a server at Chapatai, which was a funny experience. And then after that, I launched a business and
Rest is history.
got away from serving. Anyway, I haven't asked you your question, Ben.
It's so funny. You were just explaining how you went on a tangent, or you go
Yes.
on tangents, and then you went on a tangent.
Always.
I love it.
I love it.
Always.
I'm ready.
What gets you out of a slump?
Ooh.
Because we all get in slumps, right?
Mm.
Like whether it's
Personally or professionally?
they kind of coincide, don't they?
Okay.
Mm.
You have
No,
a
but both.
you have a shitty day at work, like you're not gonna go home and be bouncing off the walls, and vice versa.
Yeah. It's hard not to sound cliche, and I'm not gonna like. It sounds very similar to trust the process, but like stay within your routine.
Mm.
I've always been able to say to myself, "You're gonna get there. It's gonna suck maybe for the interim, but you've always found yourself out of situations. So continue on that path and try
What
not to
if
be
what you're doing is kind of what's got you in that slump, right?
Right,
So
you
maybe you're
switch it
very
up.
routined. Like for me, I'm not as routine. So like I'll do certain things where like I don't sleep enough, or like I play video games too much, or I smoke weed too much, and all those things, and then I'm like in a slump. And I personally need to like look back and be like,
That's a
oh
great
shit,
question.
this is what I'm doing wrong. But maybe you're more routine. So for
Yeah,
you,
I like to keep everything just tight, like, and I always go back to that. I always revert back to just
That's-
kind of what got me there. And
yeah, routine would probably get me out of slumps too.
Yeah. like if I'm slumping, I attribute it to my routine. I attribute it to something being off, and perhaps
So you
really
think of
throwing
a
me
slump as something that you naturally get out of?
Mm.
Okay.
What about you?
Interesting.
If I was to try and
Ah,
force it, like,
Just
then I'm
right.
really fucking with my routine.
Right.
Really?
And then I'm blaming it all on that. So I'm just like, you know what? It's not great right now, but it will be. Just stick with it.
What about you, Mark?
Persevering.
I'm a big believer in brain power, and I think that if you really want to solve a problem or something like that, if you can really sit yourself down, get away from the distractions, and think hard, things will come to you. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but typically that's how I get out of slumps.
I'm very much attributing it to like a sports team or like, you know,
Right.
anyone that's slumps are inevitable. They're going to happen. So things that are inevitable, I'm trying my best to remind myself of that. It's going to happen. You're going to experience people that don't like you in life, Gab. You know, I'm going to experience slumps in the work field. I'm going to experience slumps with dating, with you know, with sport.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as I stay true to who I am and keep with it, it'll work itself out. It always has.
I like that.
Yeah, that's not my approach at all because I'm such an inconsistent person that, like, you know, and there's so many factors, right? Like for me, like if it's a business slump, and I look back at like why I'm in the slump because I got my hopes up too high on this and it didn't work out, and I'm just
Well, to go on a slump implies that you were once hot, right? Like to go cold, you were once hot.
Right.
So in like a sales setting, right? You hit your targets 6-7 months in a row.
Right.
All of a sudden you start to slump for 2 or 3. You haven't changed anything. It's just bad luck. It's just part of it. It's part of the course. You just got to keep with it. Keep doing what worked. Get back to what worked.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes when you're in the slump, for me personally, that's when I'm out of my routine. That's when I skipped a few days making my bed. That's when I skipped a few days of, you know, doing my push-ups at 6:35. You know, like of all those things that I set
You're
up in
insane,
place.
man.
I know.
Jesus.
6:35, not 6:30.
No, because then I'm 5 minutes fucking behind or ahead.
Do you have OCD?
Yeah, 100%. Look around here. Everything's in its correct space.
When I came in here, I thought this was impressive.
You have OCD.
I have ADD.
Dude,
so
you
like,
can eat off the floor here.
cool.
It's great for sound. I mean,
Yeah.
it's completely insulated.
I'll say just because I think my situations are different from me, slumps sometimes are inevitable, where like my emotions are very high sometimes and low in others, and so sometimes I just need to convince myself. Actually, an ex a long time ago who never should have told me this, told me this is like after we were dating, told me to stop feeling sorry for myself, and like that was the best thing anyone ever could have told me, because I like hear that in my mind whenever I'm just like, man, this sucks, or like, oh my, like this didn't work out, or like, yeah, I don't want to work out because like, why would I work out? Like, just like, dude, stop feeling sorry for yourself. And I like that's honestly the thing that gets me kind of like, yeah, dude, it's like a
Sounded
light
like
bulb.
Gary Vee there.
I've said this on the pod before, but I would always question, why is this happening to me? I'd be like, you know, why is this happening to me? And then slowly but surely there was a voice in my head, and, you know, my parents bought in, and, you know, others around me. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? Because I look at my experience. I've failed often, but I've always been able to learn from it and come back better and then improve upon it.
And my mentality is, hey, if you like, it's better to make all those mistakes when you're young, stack them up,
Absolutely.
learn from them, so you're not making them when you're like 35. You have kids, you know, like screw that. Another
I don't
thing
have any
that
failures. I have a long way of learning things.
Right. That's a very optimistic way of looking at things. My other thing is like I bottle things in because I put so much pressure on myself that I'm like, I don't want to admit when I'm struggling with something, or like when I failed, and I just like bottle it up, tuck it out back, and then I just like open up like one day after like 3 months, and I just like let it all out. And I just put it all on the table. So, like whether it's my girlfriend or like, so I like usually my girlfriend, and then I'm just like, oh, I feel so good.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm a new man.
It feels
you know?
amazing.
So this is how I've been feeling. Sit the fuck down.
Yeah, and I probably
might
won't,
wanna get
like,
comfortable.
Yeah, I won't let it out for like another 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, but God, it's a good profession.
We could put mom on the back burner for now. We've got a whole new set of issues. Man, on the slump part, I know I'm beating this to a pulp now, but like, Kate, look at Patrick Laine, right? Like the guy's projected to score 50 goals every year. He started out super hot, and then in terms of like starting out hot in the NHL, if you have 20 goals out of the first 30 games, if you have 25 goals at the first 40, like at Christmas, you're on fire. Like you're halfway and you're getting there.
Yeah.
And then you go 0 for 17 in the next 17 games. So then all of a sudden, you're in your own head. The media's in your head. You're looking for that answer. Well, what was he doing in those first 30, 40 games that he scored 20, 25?
That he's not doing now.
He was doing his routine.
He
wasn't worried about the headspace. He wasn't worried about the media.
Yeah.
He's all of a sudden tinkering with his sticks. he's all of a sudden, changing up his routine.
Yeah,
Doubt
doubting
is settling
the-
in,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
fear is all of it's just starting to cripple him one game at a time.
It's
Instead
all
of he
insane.
just reminded himself, got to stick with this.
Keep doing what
Keep
worked.
doing what worked.
Yeah.
Why am I here?
And stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Love
Yeah.
it.
I love telling myself that because I'm always just like,
It's such a good lesson though.
Yeah.
It really is.
Um,
It's like, stop being a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Give the king.
Sometimes you gotta tell yourself that.
You do. Or
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So I gotta head out in a
gotta
few minutes. So let's
Yeah,
wrap this up.
we'll wrap this up. You got a pretty exciting event coming up in this Saturday actually. If you wanted to let the listeners know,
Next Saturday. Wait.
This will be this Monday, so it'll be this
Yes.
Saturday.
Right. Okay. Thank God. I was like, shit, is our launch party?
Is it this Saturday?
Yeah. No. We're having the launch party for our sports entertainment agency, Tidal League, at Garrison on the 26th. If you're interested in going, we're trying to keep it invite only. But if you're interested, you can shoot me an email, or you can ask Mark and Ben for my contact information. Would love to see you there. The mayor's speaking there. Our good friend, an agent out of Toronto, might be coming up for it. It's
gonna be
just
a great
really
night.
exciting. I mean, it's just like we've built so many relationships in the city, from like in a basketball community, in a business community, and then just like etc. Like you guys and just people who are doing awesome stuff around here. And so we get to bring all of those people in the same place up to 150 people capacity, and I think we're at 120 RSVP'd, and I still haven't sent out all the invites. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. At the end of the day, it's just gonna be like a good chance for everyone to kind of talk with everyone, right?
Yeah.
And then so what I think usually sucks at events is when they like force the networking. Like you have 10 minutes to network, go. It's just like, this is so
like speed
inauthentic.
dating.
Like this is so uncomfortable.
Just let it happen.
Yeah, and so like if we could have an event where it's like cocktails and some food for the first
That is networking.
hour, and just literally just we'll have music. If you want to listen to music, like the bar's open, you have drink tickets. If you want to get drunk now, like go get drunk. So I invited like some buddies who I know. At the end of the day, like they're gonna buy beer. They're gonna keep Garrison happy, which is what I need.
Yeah.
They don't really care about business. They don't really care about basketball, and that's okay. Like
They care about beer.
They're gonna get the crowd going.
The third most important.
I kind of just
beer.
want to get like all the people that I like in a room. It's just an excuse to be like, you guys all rock.
Yeah.
Let's celebrate me.
Yeah, get on the mic for a bit.
I'm gonna make a little
Make
speech.
sure your shoulders aren't slouching.
Ooh.
Bring that posture up.
Yeah. Remember what Mom taught you?
Good tonality. No, I'm definitely gonna be. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I love speaking opportunities. So I
No
get to-
way.
yeah. No shit.
You like to talk?
Yeah. I think everyone listening to this can be sick of me. I probably won't even listen to it just because I'm going to be so like.
I've heard
cringe
my
at
voice
myself.
enough.
I think we could probably go to bed and you'd still be talking when we woke up. It's perfect.
We said
we would have like 8 hours.
Let's break it down to like 8 episodes.
Yeah.
No one will even notice you guys.
So,
It's our own
one of our
podcast.
recurring guests, Gab, you may have heard him about 50 episodes ago. We have another edit that we'd like to share with you.
From the same recording.
Same recording.
Guy,
man.
Guy did a lot of Adderall that day.
That's great. You're like, what's his name?
I
Gab?
shaved
Okay,
twice during
makes
that
sense.
interview.
All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we
thank
really
you.
appreciate you coming by there, Gab. We'll let you go. You got to get going. Very busy man. Ben, you want to take it from here?
Oh yeah, I mean my bit is to obviously let you know and thank you for how honored and humbled we are to have you on.
Dude,
Honestly,
this
it's
is awesome.
a huge experience for us.
This is awesome. I think you guys are doing an awesome thing here. I think you guys are bringing a lot of really cool people together, and I want to be on the flag football team.
Oh yeah. This summer, more information coming out. Brand new crew. We'll talk about it in a few
Yeah,
months.
it's a brainstorm that's now a thing because.
Do you need a title?
Oh, I love it.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks,
Love you guys.
thanks, Gab, for Brand New View. I'm Mark Boudreau.
I'm Ben Bramer.
Until next week.
With the same old blues. With the same old blues. I was the same old me. With the same